Coming up next on the Conscious Courage podcast.
You may have a recurring negative patterns that show up in your relationship. So this can look like, let's say you notice that your romantic relationships end in the same way, or you attract the same kind of woman, the same kind of man. Maybe you keep choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable, or you often find yourself in heated arguments over minor things. This could be your inner child repeating a pattern from your past, possibly from a time when you felt neglected or misunderstood. If that explanation wasn't clear enough, I'll give it to you this way. If you keep having the same problems in your relationships, it might be because of something that you went through as a child. It's like your inner child is stuck in a loop trying to fix something from way back then. Good morning. Welcome to the Conscious Courage podcast and happy Sing It With Me Motivational Monday. I am your host, Davone'a Tashae. I meet with you all every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to provide practical steps toward our inner healing journey, or what I've coined internal glow up. So whether you're here for the first time or returning, I thank you for tuning in. The team and I are so grateful to every subscriber via YouTube, every listener on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify, and every IGU babe out there who is keeping up with us via social media at CC Podcast with DT. Y'all are locked in, and we are too hyped that you're here. Ensure that you listen through to the end of this episode to receive your practical steps. And also, here's an announcement, y'all. We are seeking 100 downloads via the audio streaming platforms I just mentioned by 1 July 2024. So get out there, listen, download, like, subscribe, all of the things. Okay, let's dive into today's episode. Good morning, and welcome, y'all. We are in the month of July. We are more than halfway through the year. What's going on in y'all's lives? And this is the 4th month of the Conscious Courage podcast. Yay! Now, for the month of July, we are deep diving into healing your inner child. Y'all ready? So episode 14 is all about understanding the inner child. As the introduction says, we are deep diving into our inner healing, empowerment, as well as our development. So let's talk about the little mini me on the inside and give you a better understanding on, all right, I react in this way, or I do X, Y, and Z, or I say X, Y, and Z, not from a place of adult me, but from the place of that mini me, okay? That area that is still open because of undue wounds, trauma, neglect, or it can also be a healthy you because of the secure attachment, as mentioned during the month of May, as we as we spoke about attachment styles. So let's just get into this inner child, y'all. So you're like, inner child, this is my first time hearing about it, or I'm extra grown. I'm 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 grown, and there's no inner child on the inside of me. What are you talking about? I'm a male. I can't hold children. There's no child on the inside of me. What is this woman talking about? Let me break it down to you. The term inner child refers to that part of your subconscious. And what are we all about? The conscious, okay? We tapping into our conscious, subconscious, unconscious. Well, hold on. We're not tapping in. Let me fix that. We are putting in, through knowledge and information from psychological studies as well as biblical scripture, information that will assist us in the transformation of our mind, in the transformation of the conscious and subconscious. Okay, we're not tapping in. This is, what is it called? When somebody puts you to sleep, I can't even think of the word right now. Whatever that is, we're not doing that. We're not spinning the spoon around and taking you into a sunken place. So I retract the verbiage of tapping in. I apologize. Now, back to the term. The inner child refers to that part of our subconscious that retains our feelings, our memories, as well as experiences from our childhood. It's essentially the childlike aspect within us that carries forward both the joys and the traumas of our early years. Why is this important? Why is this important, y'all? Because the inner child influences our emotions, behaviors, and reactions in our adult life. By acknowledging and nurturing our inner child, by acknowledging and nurturing that area, that traumatic area, or the area where you feel happy and joy-filled, we can heal old wounds and foster emotional well-being. This may be a new concept, so we're gonna peel this on back. Recognizing the inner child. So being able to identify signs that your inner child needs attention. How can you do this? Let's say you have a recurring negative pattern in relationships, or you feel overly critical of yourself. You have some unexplained fears, or even reacting in a disproportionate way to certain situations. These are indicators that your inner child might be crying out for help. So how can I say it? These are actions or examples on how a traumatic experience you had at a young age, or recently, but we're going to stick to youth, at a young age is now showing up because it's an unhealed area. And let me give you this easy example. That is, as a child, you were always lied to. And now as an adult, you second guess what people say, and or you are not quick to trust. You might feel like someone is coming against you, or that what is being said is not truthful. You're always at a place of defense. You're always in a stance of defense because you feel the need to bring forth correction, or protect yourself, or maybe you over-explain yourself because you want to convey to the person on the other side of you, I am a man or woman of integrity. I am honest. I do not lie. Not realizing that the extra that you're putting forth and doing stems from little you and the lies that you were told. Just an example, because some people may get caught up in the terminology of inner child and miss the message, or perceive themselves as not being able to connect. So I just wanted to give you that example. And you know what? A person could have grew up perfect household and all is well, and so they are whole and secure in who they are, and that is so beautiful. Leave a comment and how your life is going, and some tools and tips that you can leave to others that are still growing in the area and coming into a knowledge of their inner child, and how best to nurture really the subconscious, really what it is, the unhealed portions. Now, I have a note here because that was just off the dizome. I love to talk so much, and I study from school and to videos or just experiences and conversations that I could really sit here and just talk to y'all. But I also know that I have this skill, and it's the squirrel skill, which means I can start talking to y'all, and then I'll think of something and I will squirrel and get on that topic, and I may not come back exactly to where I left off. So I like to have my notes to carry me on through the conversation, ensuring that I give y'all all the information that I considered without losing it. Now, y'all, so in layman's terms, recognizing that your inner child needs attention can be tricky, but there are some clear signs that you can look out for. So imagine it like this. When kids want attention, they might throw a temper tantrum or act out. Your inner child does something similar, but through emotions and behaviors. I don't know if I'm the only one. Like, here go one of my squirrel moments. But when I'm sleepy, I'm one of two emotions, or maybe I would say two characteristic traits. Not exactly sure how I want to conceptualize it. And that is, I don't even know if I know conceptualize is a word. I hope I just use it in the right context. Anyway, I am 1000% goofy. Like, it is time for stand-up comedy. Prepare your stomach, because you are about to bend over from laughter, and you will have a 6-pack by the time I'm done. Or number 2, this is a rare one, but still comes about. I am emotional. I am kind of whiny. I won't cry because big girls don't cry, but I am a little whiny, could be irritable, like a child. Just an example, you know what I'm saying? How people may show up. I was in a relationship with someone and I would know when this individual, like, okay, it's time for us to get off the phone because I would say, ooh, your old man is showing up. So it wasn't like the child, it would be an old man type of just irritable. Not that elders are irritable, but you have some that are irritable. All right, let me let that go. Now, some examples. You may have a recurring negative patterns that show up in your relationship. So this can look like, let's say you notice that your romantic relationships end in the same way, or you attract the same kind of woman, the same kind of man. Maybe you keep choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable, or you often find yourself in heated arguments over minor things. This could be your inner child repeating a pattern from your past, possibly from a time when you felt neglected or misunderstood. If that explanation wasn't clear enough, I'll give it to you this way. If you keep having the same problems in your relationships, it might be because of something that you went through as a child. It's like your inner child is stuck in a loop trying to fix something from way back then. And what do we do as children? Do we have the conception? Do we have the understanding on how to solve problems? I mean, I'm not going to downplay any children out there that are wise beyond their years, but for the most part, when it comes down to problem solving, it's crying. What do I want to say? Not exclaiming, but having outbursts. It is potential temper tantrums. It is pouting. It is shutting down and getting quiet, etc. So that behavior, if it shows up in your big age, could be a reflection that in youth it wasn't corrected, or you did not receive the security and or the tools necessary to learn how to communicate. And now it looks like, okay, let me figure out how to communicate exactly how I'm feeling right now. So, all right, right now I want to cry out. Right now I feel like screaming. Why? Well, I am frustrated because of this. This is my emotional feeling right now, and I am choosing to talk to you about it instead of screaming. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense, y'all. Another example is you may be someone who over criticizes. You feel overly critical about yourself. And this looks like, do you often find yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, or just beating yourself up over small mistakes, like minute, like, okay, I didn't check and see that X, Y, and Z was done and now the world is over, like, but it isn't. Let me tell you why that may be a trait of yours. This could be from a childhood experience where you felt you had to be perfect or you had to be accepted. Like you had to be perfect in order to be loved or accepted. If not, then all was going to break loose. This also can look like, or I can say it in this way. If you're hard on yourself and you feel like nothing you do is ever good enough, it could be because your inner child learned that being perfect was the only way to receive love or to be approved. I also wanted to annotate here, you have it on the other side where some people, let's say they came from a large family and this individual or a person didn't receive attention unless they were hurt, unless they were sick, unless something was wrong. Now in their big age as an adult, they have the same characteristic trait in which they seek to receive attention, affection, love by way of sickness or woe, it's me, or even having an outburst, fake falling down, like something that will bring the attention onto them. They did not learn that acting in that way, I want to say it this way. It's like with the Skinner's study, and they train the mice to hit the latch when they receive the treat, or no, the dog. The dog would get the water bowl after the bell rang. So when he rang a bell, he knew that water was said to come, and then he would begin to salivate just based on the bell ringing. Now, for a person as a child, okay, the bell might be them getting hurt, and then their water is the attention of their parent or their caregiver. Now, at their big age, as their adult age, they are still acting out, crying, temper tantrum, having angry outbursts from men or women, crying men or women. And what does that do? It gets the attention of their spouse. It gets the attention of whomever's on the other side. I've seen this at work. It gets the attention of the boss or a colleague of some sort. So it's really a manipulation tactic, kind of, sort of, but probably subconsciously, which is why, ad break. Are you seeking an electrifying speaker to ignite transformation in your audience? Well, look no further. Hi, I'm Davone'a Tashae, real estate investor, Air Force veteran, and host of the Conscious Courage podcast, where new episodes are released every Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via YouTube and all streaming audio platforms. I specialize in delivering impactful keynote speeches that inspire change and elevate your minds. Whether it's a virtual gathering or an in-person event, I bring passion, expertise, and a unique delivery to every arena or every environment that I'm in. Let's captivate your audience together and create an unforgettable experience. Contact me today to book your next event, and let's embark on this journey of transformation, or let's get all of your attendees on this journey toward internal glow up. You can book me via my website by going to www.davoneatashae.com. I'll spell that for you. It is www.DAV as in Victor, ONEATASHAE.com. I look forward to connecting with you. Take care. We're talking about the inner child, and which is why it's related to our subconscious. This person doesn't even recognize that how he or she is showing up. It's because of their youth, their experiences during during adolescence, coming on up, also known as the inner child. You see that term? You see how it makes sense? Here is another example, and that is having unexplained fears. You might feel an intense fear of abandonment, even when there's no real reason for it to be current in your life. This fear could be rooted in a childhood experience where you felt abandoned or rejected. Let me say it in this way, y'all. If you're really scared of being left alone, or you feel terrified of something without a clear reason, it might be because your inner child is remembering a time when you felt abandoned or rejected. So you're reacting in the current tense, or you're reacting in the present tense from a past experience, inner child. And if you want to learn a little more about how adolescence impacts us on through our adult age, you can tune into the episodes I recorded in the month of May. And I want to say those were episodes 6 through 9, in which I deep dive into attachment styles. I also break down how from the age of conception, so from the time that we are conceived in our mother's womb up until the age of 9 or 10, a lot of those experiences that we've had I use the word mold often, but it's a predicator of how we will show up and react in the world at a later age. That is broken down even more in the month of May, y'all. Another example is someone, maybe it's you or a friend, they react disproportionately to what exactly is taking place. Let me tell you, quick to anger, quick to get upset, and it's like, because I closed the door, like because my sister greatly dislikes when our mom is chewing gum because the gum pops, like she ready to fight because the gum is popping. But imagine getting extremely angry or upset over something minor, like a friend being late to meet you. This strong reaction might come from a childhood experience where you felt powerless or disrespected. And I'll say it in this way. If you find yourself getting really angry or upset over small things. It could be your inner child reacting to past situations where you felt powerless or disrespected. And now you have the right to stand up and you're loud about it. And I know someone that is very outspoken and says whatever comes to mind. And it's like, you didn't have to do that. But that person could have had no voice when they were coming up, or they could have been allowed to speak their mind. So there was no structure, there was no correction from the parents, like, hey, that's actually disrespectful. And so now they just show up in the world saying whatever. And it's not acceptable. It's not okay. It's not cute. Okay, y'all. So coming on out of the examples and transitioning on into childhood experiences. Our childhood experiences shape our inner child significantly. Positive experiences foster a sense of security as well as confidence, while negative experiences can lead to unresolved trauma and emotional wounds. For example, a child who grew up in a nurturing home or a nurturing environment can develop or will develop a strong sense of self-worth. Conversely, a child who faced neglect or abuse might struggle with feelings of inadequacy and fear. These early experiences set the foundation for how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. Here, as I've already mentioned, I take a really good I think there were 4 Mondays in May, or were there 5? I want to say it was 4 Mondays in May, and go through attachment styles. That's episode 6 through 9. Specifically, you can look at episode 6, understanding attachment styles through self-awareness. And I posted that on May 6th, 2024 to get some additional information. I also include in that episode a site where you can go complete some questions and then learn what your attachment style looks like and how you potentially show up in relationships, which gives you the upper hand. That say you have an attachment avoidant style or fearful avoidant, or you have the secure attachment. Well, now you know, okay, I can do this, I can do that. Like, this is my strength and this is the area where I can grow up in. This is how I can raise up my child so that he or she is formed in a secure attachment. So their most whole self, if I can say it in that way, opposed to having a child growing up with the traumas that they have to unlearn and then relearn new behaviors and ways of looking at the world and thinking and showing up. Set them up for success mentally and emotionally. So awareness and acceptance. How do you become aware of your inner child and accept its presence? Or as I've already outlined, inner child is the subconscious. The subconscious are experiences that you had growing up and that you're not aware still influence you right now. In this case, in this example, not that subconscious are about your experiences, but as we dive into healing our inner child, the subconscious in this context that I'm using it is the unaware experiences of your childhood or what you're aware of, but you're not aware on how they are showing up in your current adult life. That's what I'm saying. Hopefully that makes sense. So you can start off by practicing mindfulness and self-reflection. For my Bible thumpers out there, I've mentioned this in other episodes. I'll mention it here in case this is your first time. When I use the word mindfulness, I am not referencing New Age. I am using mindfulness in the sense of being aware. Okay, you have to be aware that, oh, there is a way I'm showing up that is not in alignment with one, how God has ordained me to walk and or show up. And two, there is an influence behind it. And what is that? It's that childhood experience. But until you become aware, like I am, when I'm sleepy, I'm either extremely goofy or I can be emotional and like whiny. Until I have that awareness, I can't do anything about it. So then I'm showing up, and if I'm cracking jokes, I'm on stage bringing you on stage type energy, is all he ha ha. But a person may catch me on another day and I'm like, don't talk to me, don't bother me, I just want to go to sleep, I'm real moody right now, I'm blah blah blah, and I just let it be. That's unfair to whomever that person is experiencing it, because if I was aware, I can correct myself. If I'm aware, then I can say, okay, right now I'm really tired and I'm not in the mood to play. It's best that I go ahead and go to sleep. Get me to where I need to go. I need a bed, heads in beds right now. So through awareness, we can also hold ourselves accountable. Just want to put that out there. Now, you have to pay attention to your emotional reactions and trace them back to your childhood experiences. And a way that you can do this is through journaling. So I've heard people say, well, I grew up and my parents never told me they loved me, and now I don't know how to show my children love. That childhood experience is now showing up in their adult selves, and they're like, I don't say I love. Instead, I show it, and I show it because I'm out here going to work every day and I'm coming home, but this person's partner needs for their partner to express the love and or be present. Their children are like, well, I'm missing my mom, I'm missing my dad. But the parent is like, well, I'm out here getting money. This is what I saw my parents do, not realizing they're neglecting, or not that their actions are neglectful, but the perception from their partner and from their children is that they are being neglected. Now, when this person realizes, wow, I'm showing up in the way that my parents did, and now I am causing the same trauma onto my children, through awareness, they can change their behavior. And what that may look like is being a lot more intentional about either waking up earlier to at least say hey to the kids, kiss them, say hey to your wife or your husband, or coming in a little late, ensuring that on days off, you're present, or even putting away all of the electronic devices and such, so that when everyone's in the household together, then everyone is being present together. I don't know who that's for. It's not in my notes, but journaling is a powerful tool, and I mention it more often than I don't. So writing down your feelings and trying to connect them to past events. Accepting your inner child means acknowledging its experiences without judgment. So acknowledging the experiences of youth without judgment. It's about embracing the part of you with compassion and understanding. And this acceptance is the first step towards healing. Okay, here is where we would transition into the practical steps. But I'm going to do something different in this episode because we are going on a journey for the next 5 Mondays. Third Monday, which is, I'm looking at the calendar. So we have this Monday, then we have July 8th, July 15th, 22nd, and 29th. So I want to leave you with these questions that you can reflect upon as we progress in this here mini series. On July 15th is when I have a special guest coming on the podcast. She is a licensed counselor, and her specialty is she works with children, and she brings information, y'all, that is so good. She has her gestures with the spine and the brain, like, baby, we deep dive in. But what I would love for you to do is to walk away with these questions, think about it, have your answer, so that when you show up, because I know you're showing up next week, when you come back on July 8th and we continue to discuss, and then when you come back on July 15th and we continue to discuss, you can take some of the information given by the guest speaker and apply it into your life. And not just for your life. We talk about tools that parents can use as well. So you can implement it, you as a parent, or if you don't know a parent, you can send it out to your parents or your friends that are parents so that they can implement it, etc. Now, y'all, okay. So this is our thought-provoking questions segment instead of the practical steps. Now, number 1, what is your first memory of feeling vulnerable as a child? This is what I want you to consider. I want you to think back on a time or to a time in childhood when you felt particularly vulnerable. What happened? How did it make you feel? Reflecting on these moments can provide insight into what your inner child needs. So into what those unhealed areas need. Okay. Number 2, how do you think your childhood experiences shape your current behaviors and emotions? So something to consider is to consider how your upbringing might influence the way you react to certain situations today. Are there patterns that repeat themselves? Understanding this connection is key to addressing and healing those wounds. Let me tell y'all something. This wasn't a wound, but in my home, growing up, we could not say what was equivalent to a 4-letter word, meaning a curse word. Okay, we don't say what at all. You say yes, or you appear like your name is called and boop, Now you're there, right? But you don't say what. It took me until 2024. No, it took me maybe until middle of 2023. And right now we're in July 2024 to not get irritated when I would say something and somebody would say, what? Oh my gosh. I had to recognize one, there's a cultural difference. Okay. There are certain cultures out there and they reply with what? Okay. Gotta accept that. Two, these individuals were not raised in my house. So what is a cuss word to me in which I don't use it? You don't call my name. I will not reply with what? It's so rude. It's just rude. But I think that because of how I grew up. So how I grew up was impacting me as an adult to where I would really get irritated. Like I would hear I would say something and somebody would go, what? And I would have to take a deep breath like, ooh, I know they are not disrespecting me today. And really they mean nothing by it because they have no idea, no clue how I was raised. They had no idea that in my brain, what is a cuss word? Okay, I thought about something else when I stayed in Georgia and someone had came, he was just passing by and I was like, yeah, you can stay at my place, sleep on the couch, whatever, I'll make you real comfortable. And he laid on the couch with his clothes on and I was like, ooh, can you at least take your pants off? Because those are your outside clothes, like, whatever, wherever your night bag is, like, can you go get it so you can change? And I was like, look, just give me the keys to your car. I'll go to your car and get the stuff. I just want your night clothes, or I just don't want your outside clothes on the couch, like you sleeping in your outside clothes, baby. I'm going to go get your overnight bag. And I look back and I think about that moment and I'm like, he probably like, this girl is crazy. What is going on here? Hey, friend, in case you watch this. No, that was me showing up from my child. Look, you don't sleep in your outside clothes. And yeah, you can sit on the couch like if you're just, if you have company coming over, but before it's going to sleep, no, you change out of your outside clothes before you lay down. Just the way that I was raised. And so it was showing up in my big age. And now I think about that, like, girl, the man could have just been tired. He was passing by because he had a long drive and he was going to wake up and continue to drive. Let that individual sleep. But that wasn't my frame of mind. What's another one that I could think about in how you growing up? Like, I don't know, even loyalty. My father would say, your name is everything. So I carry my name and my name has weight on it. And I don't want anyone out. Don't disrespect don't abase my character or my name, baby, because this is a blessed name. This is a highly favored name. Okay. Now there is another example that I was thinking about that I can't think of right now, but anyway, let's go on into it. It may hit me later, y'all. See, this is why I have my notes, because I didn't went all off in everything else. So a question for you to consider, your third question to consider is, what steps can you take to become more aware of your inner child? Now, think about some ways that you can become more aware. I already gave you one, and that is journaling. Another is just sitting and being present with yourself, seeing what thoughts come up, seeing what feelings arise, being in prayer, fasting, spending time with yourself. When I had that experience that I elaborated on last month in June, as the topic was overcoming adversity, I had a lot of time to spend with myself being pushed aside. And it allowed me to see in different ways that I show up, whether it's a healthy way or an area of growth, as I call it. And so spending that time with myself, I'm sure it looks different for someone who has additional responsibilities, as in a spouse, as in children, as in maybe your parents live with you and or you work multiple jobs. So you have to be a lot more intentional about waking up a little earlier to spend that time alone. You have to be a lot more intentional about setting that side of time, maybe during lunch or right before you come in the house from work. You sit in the car, you go and park somewhere for about 10 to 15 minutes and just spend that time with yourself. So the goal is to become more in tune with the part of yourself and begin to process the healing as necessary. How do you show up in relationships? Are you reactive? Are you a good listener? Do you always need to speak? Are you argumentative? Are you manipulative? Okay, let's talk about that. Do you have sticky fingers? Are you out here stealing? Are you lying? Are you committing adultery? Are you out here cheating on your spouse? Like, what is going on? How are you showing up? Or are you always joy filled? Are you a loyal and trusting individual? Are you someone who a person can call on, and you are secure in who you are, and you're confident in who you are, and you understand that you are handsome and that you are a king, and you understand that you are beautiful and you are a queen? That's also great as well. So let's go ahead, and this is a military, baby. We're going to rally up and we're going to fall out. All right. So this episode here is all about an understanding of your inner child before we take the next 4 days and unpack this subject some more. Remember, healing is a journey, and acknowledging your inner child is a crucial first step, y'all. In our next episode, we are going to dive into healing your trauma and wounds. So make sure that you tune in on next Monday for that episode. I may have the same outfit on, I may not. Let me tell y'all, look, I want feedback. So if you have feedback, send me an email. Please do so at Davone'a at Davone'a.tashae.com, which is DAVONEA at DAVONEATASHAE.com. Or you can also come over to social media, leave a comment, leave a direct message at CC Podcast with DT. Somebody told me they would like to see a new outfit every episode, because when they watch a new episode, it makes them think that they're still watching the other one when I have on like the same attire. I am trying that. But as I make my schedule and build my schedule out, y'all might get one outfit a month. So I could just sit here and knock out videos, because your girl is busy. If I want a new outfit, that would mean every day I need to, and I could do that, record a video a day. And by that way, all of the video, I don't know. I'll figure it out. That's some feedback that I received. New outfits. If you have anything of value, not saying that wasn't valuable, but if you have anything of value, please make sure you tap in, y'all. We are coming on into, or this is the 4th month of the Conscious Courage podcast. I only want to get better, and I want you all to continue to tune in and be fed from what is shared. So y'all, that's it. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of the Conscious Courage podcast. I hope that you found valuable insights as well as inspiration from today's episode. If you enjoyed the discussion and you want to continue this journey together, be sure that you subscribe to the podcast, you leave a review, like, and share at least with 3 to 5 people, y'all. I mean, it's only like 4 steps that I'm asking y'all to complete. Until next time, stay courageous, conscious, and keep glowing from within. Remember, it takes courage to be conscious, and courage is the key to conscious living. I love y'all so much, and I'll see you next week. Disclaimer: as a content creator with a background in psychology and ongoing studies, it's imperative that I note and clarify that I am not a licensed professional. The videos and podcasts I produce are intended for educational, entertainment, and transformational purposes only. While I strive to provide accurate information and insights, it's essential to consult with a licensed mental health clinician or a licensed mental health professional for clinical perspectives and personalized advice tailored to your specific needs. Your mental well-being is of the utmost importance to me, and seeking guidance from a qualified provider is encouraged for any concerns or issues that you may be experiencing.